Thank you for staying with us here on the AM show, and we've been showing you visuals and some statistics on the coronavirus. Kojo Yankson is joining me. We'll have a conversation on the back of that. Good morning to you, morning.
Hello,
man.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good
I'm
weekend?
all right, you know. Busy one, but in a good way, I think. Yeah,
okay.
Productive.
Nice.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about something that is not so nice because it's getting really close.
Indeed, one person now in Cote d'Ivoire has tested positive for the deadly coronavirus. Now, this raises some questions about Ghana's own preparedness. You know, last week, health officials assured the general public that everything was under control and that there was no cause for alarm. But, you know, our immediate neighbor now has been caught in the web. So we're asking, are we really ready? So we're going to be speaking with Dr. Franklin Asiedu-Bekwin. He's the Deputy Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service and also the Head of Disease Surveillance. I believe he's on the line now. Doc, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning.
So we're seeking to assess the preparedness of our own nation and how secure our borders are. So can you walk us through the arrangements when an aeroplane lands from anywhere in the world, particularly China? What are we doing differently with the passengers to ensure that we're screening for the coronavirus?
Okay, thank you very much. What we are doing differently is that in the time past, when you come, you're getting close to the arrival home. What you normally fill is the immigration form. And when the coronavirus threat came, we modified our existing health declaration form.
Floor sound.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please. We're listening.
We modified our health declaration form, which was initially skewed to Ebola, so that it can capture details of suspected passengers on coronavirus. So we introduced that form on Friday. Basically, that form, what it does is that if you are coming from any of the affected countries, like China and South Korea and the rest, then you will be required to fill that form. Every passenger who is arriving in Ghana will be screened. You are screened using the walk-through thermometer. That thermometer is there to detect fever. So let's say if you are entering Ghana, you have a temperature of more than 37 up to 38. There will be a signal on the screen, which is red, that you will have a high fever, and so you'll be set aside. So that is one way we choose to screen all passengers. But as I said, for passengers who are coming from China and the affected countries, we give them an additional form, which is a health declaration form, which gives detailed information of the passengers. So that's what we are doing at the point of entry. And I said we started on Friday, and the initial approach, we focused on Emirates, Kenya Airways, and Ethiopia. They are the flights that normally are carrying passengers from China. So that's what we are doing at the point of entry. But let me say that, you know, a viral infection has phases. So you can have the asymptomatic phase and the symptomatic phase. So we are saying that assuming somebody does not even show symptoms and enters the country, we have given case definitions to our health facilities that will help them to early detect cases. So what is happening is that we are saying that when somebody has a fever or has a history of fever and has a cough and has difficulty in breathing, then we want the clinician to ask whether they've traveled to China or any other affected countries. With this information, it will give you a high alert to suspect coronavirus, and that's how we're hoping that the patients will be detected before they enter the country and also in the country. So that's the way we are doing in terms of detection.
Right. Now, there is so little known about this new strain of coronavirus. For example, the incubation period has not yet been pinned down. So we're going with a theory of about 3 days, according to the World Health Organization website, about 3 days incubation period, during which the carrier is infectious. So how is the Ghana Health Service allowing for the possibility that there will be some people coming through who may not have a fever because they are incubating the virus, but then will develop symptoms maybe 2 or 3 days later? How are we preparing for that?
That's why I say that our surveillance system is within and without. We're without the sense that we are trying to catch you at the point of entry, whereby you have a fever. If you don't have a fever and you enter the country, you do now develop a fever within the country. So that's how we want our health facilities to detect you using a case transmission. So that's the way. And let me say that because this is a novel virus, and the incubation period is not very out. We are looking at the boundaries, so it's like between 3 to 14 days. So that's the way we are using to approach our management of coronavirus in the country.
Right, 3 to 14 days. So hopefully the information you are collecting at the airports will help with contact tracing if somebody develops symptoms some days after arriving in the country. Am I correct?
So that's what we are using the health crisis forums to get that information.
Right. Now let's see whether your plans are being carried out at the airport. We're joined by Michael Al-Hassan. He is a PhD student. He just returned from China last night. Let's learn about his experience. Mr. Al-Hassan, good morning. Thank you for your time. Hello? Right, okay, we will reconnect with Mr. Al-Hassan just to see if your instructions are being carried out at the airport. But let's talk a bit about the mortality rate. So far, about 2,000 cases have been registered in China alone, and out of those 2,000, 80 have died. So we're looking at something like a 4% mortality rate. For a viral infection, how serious or how deadly is a 4% mortality rate?
Yes, let me say that talking about mortalities, there are a lot of issues that you need to look at. Is it possible that there are having cases that have not been detected? In that case, to affect the denominator, so it will have an effect on the mortality. So what I'm saying is that these are early days yet of the virus. I remember like a week ago, it was like a pure zoonotic condition with very limited human-to-human transmission. But now, after just a week, now it's coming clear that it has a lot of human-to-human transmission. So I think that these are early days that we are learning about the virus. So I think let's give ourselves time to get more information about the virus.
Right. So of course that means our planning has to include the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario being that all of a sudden cases develop around the world, everywhere, including Ghana, and there are far too many for accurate contact tracing to happen. So that's a sort of doomsday scenario. What is Ghana's plan for that?
Yeah, so I think that what we hope to do, or our plan, is early detection and containment. Because clearly for infectious diseases that we are talking about, it's not always wholly right that you can hold it at the point of entry. So some will enter. But the idea is that our focus is to early detect. So that's why we are putting measures at the point of entry and also at the health facility. That the clinician, so what we said with the alert is to kind of take the minds of the clinician that let's ask about travel history. When you ask about travel history, it will point you closer to corona. Rather, if you don't ask about travel history, then you are not likely to get the diagnosis. So we are focusing on early detection and then containment. Then in that case, the magnitude of the disease will not be as profound as it may happen elsewhere. So that's our main strategy. It's about early detection and containment.
Right. Please stay with us, though, because Mamavi, we have Michael Al-Hassan back on the line.
Yes, Doc, stay with us. Let's do a quick interaction with Michael Al-Hassan, who just returned from China last night. Michael, good morning. Hopefully you can hear me now. Good morning, Michael. Hello, Michael, if you can hear me. Good morning. Hello, Michael. So we don't
I can hear you.
You can hear me, great. So you returned from China last night. On what flights?
On one of these flights that use the routes.
When you say the routes, what do you mean?
The flights that fly from China to Ghana, one of them.
Okay, so I take it that you don't want to tell us which specific flight you
Yes.
came on. Okay, that's fine. So what happened at the airport when you got out of the aircraft?
Well, normal checks is what goes on. the normal routine checks. The only thing probably I can say that they have added probably is the heat sensor. The heat sensor. Just
the heat sensor.
Yeah, heat sensor. I'm thinking maybe it picks up temperature or so, but it picks up your heat, and then on the PC, they're able to see you. They're able to see an infrared image of your body, I think body temperature or so.
But were you given that form, like any form to fill?
No, please.
No immigration form as well?
Then you are given the normal immigration form you have to fill when you are entering or leaving. That is what we were all given to fill, and everybody filled.
Okay.
That's it.
So apart from that, nothing unusual?
Nothing.
Okay, because what you described, this sensor thing is also pretty normal, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Just hold on a bit for me. Doc, I'm not sure how much of what Michael shared you heard.
Yes, I think I heard what he said. He said what was done was the temperature monitoring. But I think that's the most important. You see, infectious diseases are characterized by fever. So you have this temperature monitoring device in there, and that is there to detect fever. So you have a temperature of 37.5 degrees Celsius and above. You'll be set aside. Okay. So that's the first line. But then the additional information that we are doing is that we have now introduced this health declaration form, which is targeted at persons coming from China and the affected countries.
So Michael was supposed to have received a certain form.
So I don't know. What I'm saying is that let's not downplay.
Hello, Doc?
Hello. Let me say, let's not downplay the use of the temperature monitoring device.
No, we're not downplaying. You had moved on to a certain form, which you said was an extra, like an addition, particularly for people coming from China.
Yes, for Friday.
Yes, okay, but Michael Hassan, just confirm for us again, when did you arrive in the country?
I arrived yesterday.
Yesterday.
So he should not say they have done any extra thing on Friday. That is not true.
No. Let's not go there.
Segregation of somebody coming from country A or country B. We were all together. We are all together.
As in, you were those who had arrived from China were not isolated.
Nobody is isolated.
Okay, and you were not given any extra health form?
I'm not giving anything, and nobody is giving anything.
Okay.
The only people isolated are people who were going visa on arrival. Apart from them, we are all together.
Okay. Doc, Michael has given us a bit of clarification. From what you described, that's not what should have happened.
Okay, thank you very much for the information, because what happened was that I spoke to the Port Health people just this morning. I was trying to find out what has happened. They're telling me that they have records of the forms that they've issued out since Friday. So we are going to verify that how did they go about it, because there are clear directions about what needs to be done. So I'm surprised that but this is an eye-opener, because clearly from Friday we have evidence of the data being collected. So I don't know what has happened. I will not dispute what Michael has said, but we're going back to sit with the Port Health staff. How are they administering the forms? Because clearly we have given guide about how it's supposed to be administered. But let me say that what we do is the first thing is the use of the thermal or the temperature monitoring device. And then there's an additional use of the health declaration form. That will help us to get detailed information of the patient. That means if you need to do contact tracing, we use it. So that is the setup that we have arranged, and that is what is being done across the world. But let me say that we'll find out from the portal what happened last night.
Right. But Doc, I suppose we also have to ask the question, how are you monitoring what's happening at our airports and entry points since Friday? How have you ensured, as Ghana Health Service, that the instructions you give are being carried out? Have you been there yourself since Friday?
Yes. So what they do is that the health declaration form are packaged. They collect it's a form that you need to fill. So they are put in a form like a pack. You get it? So based on I thought.
Please go ahead. We're listening.
That's not we are all in disease.
Hello,
So please,
Dr. McQueen?
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you now, but the line keeps breaking. Can you sort of reposition yourself if possible? Hello? Right, we're going to try and get a clearer line with Dr. Asiedu Bekwin. But if Michael is on the line, Michael, can you tell us how different was your experience in China regarding how the authorities were seeking to control the spread of this virus compared to Ghana?
serious screenings. And even about at the time of boarding the plane, when you're on the staircase, your temperature is checked again. This is how they have raised the level.
Right.
Before you enter the train, that is the subway, before you enter the bus, before you get just at the entrance of the airport, they do several checks so that if one fails, maybe the second could pick or the third.
Right.
And once maybe if your information indicates that you are coming from Wuhan, you would go through rigorous examination before you can. But fortunately, I was not coming from Wuhan, so I can't speak to that one. But from where I was coming from, and for cases to have been reported there, I was expecting that serious examination. I will be taken through some serious examination. So and one funny thing, the immigration officer looked at my book. He realized that I was coming from China, and we talked just like that. So I was expecting that he, even getting to know I was coming from China, would have asked more questions. Would have asked that we would want to speak with you before we allow you in. But it was just the normal photo taking, stamp of photo taking, and then he picked the immigration form I had completed, and that was it.
So he didn't ask you anything about Wuhan at all, or the coronavirus
and
at all?
The other thing is that on the immigration form, people don't give the correct information, because there was someone that we were filling the form with. We were coming together, but this guy did not give information as to exactly where he was coming from. Meanwhile, I know where he was coming from. So the reliance on information provided only on that sheet is even a challenge. What I'm saying is that we should put in more effort, and that maybe we should put in some serious measures that everybody coming from China will be maybe quarantined for some hours. Seriously, because if you look at the rate of infections and the reported cases, now we have over 2,000 plus. Right. And now it's spread. Almost every city has a case. Every city has a case. So why should we wait till we have an infection reported before we get serious with it? That is what I am asking Doctor and his team to get doing.
Right. So now you made an important point about the information provided on the immigration forms. This is important for contact tracing. So let me ask you: did you give the right information on your form?
My form is correct information.
Right. So
I indicated correct.
So if the Ghana Health Service has to locate you later on,
if they want to trace me and all other people who have passed through the place from the Friday to this date, I think they can use that form. Only if the other people are providing the correct information.
You can only speak for yourself.
But I know people who did not provide the correct information.
Okay, so you can only speak for yourself. That's why I was asking you specifically. All right. Now, how worried are you? You've come from a place where this disease is spreading fast. The incubation period is quite long, so it's longer than influenza. It's about 3 to 5 days. So you could be carrying it for 3 to 5 days without any symptoms. Are you worried? And what do you intend to do to manage your own health now that you're here?
Well, what I was looking at is that having gone through all these checks, I was expecting that arriving, I would go through another check, although I was coming from a place where it's not that a serious number is reported. So I would have, given up myself if maybe they have done a serious screening and they realize that maybe I could be susceptible, so they want to. Why not? Because it's for my health and the health of the other people, So everybody should be worried because it's a viral infection and we know little about it because scientists and researchers working on it have not yet come with, concrete information about its mode of spread among others. They are all theories that they are testing now.
All right.
So nobody can be safe.
Okay, please stay with us, Michael. Doc joins us again. So sorry, Doc. It seems our line is not very reliable. But you were answering my question about what has happened since Friday, since you gave the directive. Have you actually been there again? How are you monitoring to make sure that Port Health is carrying out the instructions that you've given them?
Yes. So let me. Saturday we got the data from Friday. Friday they have screened 230 passengers from Emirates. Kenya has screened 51, and then Ethiopia has screened 157. So that was the data we had. And let me say that I don't want to dispute what Michael has said, but there's record of what has happened. We are going back this morning to sit with them and for them to give us an idea of what is it that is happening. So clearly there's data that support what is being done. So we don't know how they are going about it.
But Doc, your data is from Friday, isn't it? Michael Al-Hassan returned yesterday, Sunday.
Yes, and what I've said, I just spoke to the head of Port Health, and he told me that they collect the data on a daily basis, so it's in a pack. I mean, I tried to verify, because Friday was the time that we started administering the form. So we had the information on Saturday morning. So that's what happened on Friday. So I spoke to him today, and he said they have been doing it on a daily basis. So today we have a meeting at 10, and it's going to bring me all the information. So that's why I don't want to go back and forth.
Sure.
We're going to explain to us what is the data that he's talking about. Because if Michael comes last night, and yet we have agreed, and you have the pack. So how are you administering the form? Is it that it's selective? So I think that is a learning cycle for us. But let me say that, as was said by Michael, this drive to go over the virus is on both sides, the health system and the public. He said that people are not writing the right kind of addresses. So if you do not write the right kind of addresses, how do you ensure your safety and the safety of Ghanaians? We are asking that we should all be together to address this challenge. So if you say the health system misses you, you need to be able to give the right kind of information. That's the other side. You can get the protection. Because clearly, it's two sides. You can prevent someone from getting it, or you can also prevent yourself from getting the infection. And I think that we should see in that direction. If you are sneezing and coughing, you need to cover your nose and mouth with a tissue. And then make sure that you're washing your hands with soap and running water. Likewise, the other side, you need to distance yourself from another colleague. So it's a give and take issue. And I want to say that it's a partnership between the health system and the general public.
All right. Now, Michael mentioned something, Doc, about the fact that when they arrived, all passengers from all airlines that had arrived at the same time were mixed together. Now, even if Port Health wants to carry out the instructions of the Ghana Health Service, will this not make it impossible? How are they going to be, separating or segregating patients, passengers, so that they can screen them before they are mixing with other passengers?
So I think these are some of the challenges that we're going to address this morning when you have a meeting at 10 o'clock. So that clearly there will be an announcement about people moving separate from each other. Because, as I said, our initial intervention is the focus on airlines coming from China and related countries. So they are kind of teased out from the others. It's an assumption that the people who are coming from the other airlines are not at a risk. But I think that we need to make it how operational it can be, and we need to dialogue with the airport official, how we can get this thing done, so that passengers coming from those countries are being segregated as opposed to the other airlines. We're going to have that meeting this morning at 10 o'clock. And then we're also going to meet.
Please go ahead. We're listening.
Yeah.
Doc, please go ahead. We are listening. Hello?
Hello, you're listening.
Yeah, Dr. Asiedu Bekwin, please go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, is that Dr. Asiedu Bekwin?
Yes.
Yes, sorry. You sort of cut your submission short.
So I think Michael said he wanted to...
No, we're listening to you, Dr. Asiedu Bekwin. We'll give Michael a chance when you finish.
So we are having this meeting this morning based on some of the inputs coming from Michael about how we can fine-tune our intervention so that we can get the best effect.
Right. Let's talk about education of the public, because that is also important. Somebody with coronavirus might already be in Ghana. So, and it spreads pretty much like how the common cold spreads. So, should there not be some enhanced education, increased awareness and sensitivity and adverts and, announcements and so forth? I haven't seen any such thing yet.
Yes, so as I said, we had a meeting on Thursday. That was when we had the National Chemical Coordinating meeting. And that one is made up of several subgroups. So that goes under risk complication. And they are finalizing their plans. So initially, we will be seeing a lot of messages on social media about the key messages on coronavirus. It will be coming out soon. Once we try to go further down to the community, let me say that we are early stages of trying to roll out a comprehensive plan, and all the thematic areas are on board to get it done. But we are grateful for the media about the heightened awareness being created. So we think that if the Ghanaian buys into it, we will early detect it, and then we'll have a very minimal magnitude of an outbreak.
Now, it seems like a lot of the things you're doing are reactionary. You are reacting to things as they happen, which is a worry because you might be too late. Is there not some sort of laid down action plan from the days of Ebola, when we had a center set up here in Accra for the distribution of resources across the continent and all of that? Those structures, are they not there anymore? Do we not have a laid down plan for control of outbreaks like this?
You see, as I speak to you now, we originally have a revision of our national pandemic influenza plan from tomorrow. So we have our plans being run. This is an emergency that has come. So when you have an emergency, you try to update your plan. So it's not that no plan exists. So it is about updating what we have, and that's what we are doing. So you look at it in various thematic areas. About coordination, we coordinate around the National Technical Coordinating Committee. About surveillance, it's about preparation alert and developing case definitions. This is a new disease, so you cannot have an existing case definition. So basically, we are trying to activate and update our plan, and that's what is being done. So it is not that there's nothing there, and we are now starting from scratch, because it's a novel virus. There are some new things. Well, if you talk about even the health declaration form, the one that we had was for Ebola, so we had to modify it to suit coronavirus. So it is updating what we have. That's what we are doing now.
Dr. Bekwin, I have a question on this possible first African case in Ivory Coast. What do we know about it?
I just spoke to my colleague and said it's being investigated, so I don't have the full details. I just spoke to my colleague, so I think that we'll wait to make sure we get the full details of it.
So, right now we're concentrating on persons coming from particularly China. With a possible, this Ivory Coast lady who is being tested, are there plans between Ghana and Ivory Coast, the border, for instance? What is there an exact plan?
Yes, so we do cross-border meetings, and we also have the point of entries that are coordinated. So what we've done is that if you look at our case definition that we issued out, to the health facilities and the point of entries, and quite a number of the point of entries have this thermal scanners. So as you walk through it, your temperature is more than 37.5. You have the fever, so you'll be detected at the point of source. So what I'm saying is that there are two approaches about detection. It's about detection at the point of entry, and also as you get into the country, which in that case will need to be done at the health facility. But we are trying to make sure that this message permeates further down, so that the detection will be enhanced. And I think that is what we are pushing. And we are happy about this dialogue. It's going to help the discourse, so that more Ghanaians are sensitized, whether you're a clinician, whether you're a general public person, then we can get the disease quite early. Let me say, it's not an easy kind of situation, but we are making sure that we can detect it as early and contain it.
So, Doc, is the media represented on your task force?
The National Technical Coordinating Committee.
Yeah.
We don't have a person on it, but I think that we need to get somebody from the media on it. And I think our next week we invite somebody from the media because it's made up of several academia, EDC, WHO, Canal Service, Ministry of Agric, all the key players that influence public health emergencies in the country are part of this committee. Normally, what you do is that when we meet, we give the feedback to the media to disseminate. But maybe we need to see how best we can, I don't know, put the media person on it. But that task force, that thinks about public health emergency.
Right. Now, let's talk about some possible timelines. You've said that everything is now sort of rolling out. So when are we going to start seeing the public sensitization and the messages in the media, both social and mainstream? When are we going to see some education?
At least the social media information will start coming up today, because we are fine tuning the messages. So hopefully today we start seeing them on WhatsApp, Twitter, and Facebook. It's about ready. It's one of the things that will come out today after our meeting at 10 o'clock. And then the other issues are cost intensive, so we're going to involve all our partners to support us to drive it.
So that means there are certain things you need to do which you don't have the money for.
Oh, certain things can also be done without that. Like I said, disseminating the information with, on social media is not expensive. So it's going to roll out from today. There are other things about moving, you having debts. So there are things that it's a collective effort, and it's part of what they call the National Public Health Security Plan. So that involves the partners. That's why our meeting had a partner, World Bank. They're all part, because we need to make sure in trying to address such a situation, you need to have the necessary funding for it.
So that means you don't have an existing budget for these things. There isn't money for, emergencies like this, containing outbreaks.
Not that we don't have the money, but we need more money to get it done, because this is a different kind of outbreak we are handling. A week ago, it appeared a bit different from now. So the push needs to be very much intensified.
Yes, but I mean, the fact that you need more money means that money wasn't already there, right?
So some activities have started. So I think, as I said, we need more money to get a lot of things done.
Okay. How much more?
I think we are here to get the final budget validated.
So you don't know how much more money you need? The Ghana Health Service does not know how much more money.
We had our meeting last Thursday, and all thematic areas are supposed to come out with their final budget, and then to be validated, and it becomes the national budget.
So you don't know how much more money you need? You don't know that figure yet?
Yes, for now, for that final figure is not ready.
It seems we're on the back foot here. It seems we're not entirely prepared or secure.
Pardon?
It seems we're on the back foot. It seems we're not entirely ready to protect Ghanaians from this virus. We don't even know how much money it will cost us to do what we have to.
I don't think that's the basis to assess whether you are ready or not. I don't think
really?
I don't think that is the issue. What I'm saying is that if you look at the literature, 5 days ago they said that the virus has limited human transmission. So it gives you a different approach when you say you have profound human approach. So that gives a different scenario. So I think I want us to see this approach as a partnership. It's not about finding fault. And let me say that when it comes to addressing public emergencies, the health system has a role. The public has a role. And let's see ourselves as partners to address it.
All right. So, what do you need the public to know at this stage? We're giving you the opportunity of the platform since we're partners. So, what sort of information does the public need to know in order to stay as safe as possible?
What you want the public to know is that we have this outbreak that started from China. The outbreak can be detected at source. That's when you're entering the country or can be detected in country. The person who may be having the disease or the virus may spread it. Hello?
Yes, we're listening. We're listening. Please go ahead.
They may spread it when they sneeze or when they cough. So in order to prevent a neighbor from getting it, when you are sneezing or coughing, make sure that you are covering your nose and mouth with tissue or handkerchief. We are also saying that in order to prevent people from getting infected, the person who is sneezing or coughing must be washing his hands with soap and running water. In that case, you do not have the viruses around you. The other aspect is somebody who is, let's say, without the virus, must make sure that they protect themselves from a neighbor. So that's the way the discussion is going. So there's one side, one person who has the virus, who is supposed to ensure that it does not transmit the virus to the other side. And this other person who must keep himself a bit distant. So that is the way we are hoping that we all go in that perspective.
Okay. Now, God forbid, but if we
let me also add that we are saying that typically the presentation is a fever, cough, and difficulty in breathing. And we are saying that when you have such a condition, please report to the nearest health facility as early as possible for management.
Very well. God forbid, but if we do, register any cases of the novel coronavirus here in Ghana, will the treatment be covered by the NHIS?
Now, public health emergencies, when they are declared, the costs are not borne by the patient. It's borne by the government.
Very well. Okay, that's useful. Thank you so much. Dr. Asiedu Bekwin is the Deputy Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service. And Michael, of course, is a traveler who returned last night. And Michael, you have some final thoughts you want to share before you leave?
Yeah, my final point has to do with that our authorities should not only focus on flights that are coming directly from China, but they should focus on every flight as a potential. Why? Because some of these flights, congregate travelers to their mother countries before they transport them to Ghana. So if the flight is not coming directly from China and then we leave it out, and we have a passenger who had moved from China to board the flight in its respective country before coming to Ghana, you'll be left out. Maybe it could be a source. So they should look at all flights, not only those that they know fly directly from China to Ghana, but all the others. Once the flight is coming to it's coming to Ghana, we should not leave it out because it could also be carrying people who may or might carry these virus incubating them.
Right. Thank you for that, Michael. A very important point made there. We appreciate your time. Michael Al-Hassan just returned from China last night. And Mama Bia, I think it's an important point he's making. For every communicable disease, one of the biggest risk factors is the incubation period. That's the time during which you have the disease, but you don't have any symptoms. And you are highly infectious during that time. So if you think about the fact that we went from 17 dead people to 80 dead people in the space of 48 hours. So that means that, first of all, there are many people who have the disease that were not detected on time, and the spread is, the rate of spread is increasing. So at the moment, it's difficult to know around the world how many people have this condition. We really ought to be guarding our borders against people coming from every country. Now, let's speak to the Ghana Immigration Service. Superintendent Michael Amwakwata is the Public Relations Officer. He joins us now. Superintendent, good morning. Thank you for your time with us.
Yeah, good morning.
So we have learned about the plans that have been set in place by the Ghana Health Service to help screen those who are entering the country, particularly those coming from China. But we've spoken to someone who came from China last night, and his narration is that, well, first of all, he and other passengers from other flights were all in together, and nothing apart from the thermal screening happened. No forms were given for him to fill. Meanwhile, Ghana Health Service says that they have provided health forms for Port Health to be administering to people, particularly from China. Can you tell us why this is not happening or didn't happen last night?
Yeah, thank you, and good morning to your listeners. On that particular issue, I I do not have the exact information, but then just like the Ebola and the other healthcare that came, yes, such modalities were put in place. I don't know, maybe once I'm not abreast with the whole fact, it's difficult to make a pronouncement on it. Otherwise, I would say it could be an oversight, yes. But otherwise, all such measures are enforced to ensure that we do not get any of such sicknesses into the country.
So has Ghana Health Service given a briefing to Immigration Service?
Yeah, definitely.
What did they say?
Yes. This is not the first time such a healthcare has hit us. So we just go back to the protocols that is given to us based on their advices. So currently, as we speak, almost across all the major entry points, our officers have been given face masks and hand gloves and some sanitizers, and then also how to be able to also identify people who are coming from such areas with some of the symptoms that we know definitely they are likely to be exposed to.
So if I go to the airport this morning, I will see immigration officers wearing face masks and gloves?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you say that they've been told to check for certain symptoms. Have they also been given forms that they should administer to people coming from certain parts of the world to fill? Health screening forms?
No, that is being done by the Port Health. That's been done by the Port Health. But when they get to us, then we know once they've gone through the Port Health screening, then they might have been cleared. But we also, by the nature of our training, we do profiling. So yes, when we see excess of sweat on a passenger who has just been cleared, we can also prompt. Maybe he can decide to sidestep the normal processing. Then we also are there as a secondary check against the health screening. Then we can refer the person back to Port Health.
So from
quarantine if he's carrying the virus.
So from what you are saying, they first go through Port Health before they go through immigration?
Yes.
Right.
First, with the filling of the forms, then when they get down, the Port Health is there as the first line to check. Then they come and join the various queues in front of the immigration booth. Then we also assist by enhancing our profiling by looking straight at them and trying to see if we could detect any of the symptoms that Port Health has told us about. Then if we see any such, we refer them back to Port Health.
Now, according to the passenger we spoke to, when he came out of his aircraft and entered the airport building, he and passengers from other parts of the world were all combined together before they started going through the processes. So how is, if that's the arrangement at the airport, how are you going to be able to differentiate between those who have come from China and other parts of the world?
Yes, again, I said on that particular instance, it's difficult for me to comment. But then, once there's a healthcare, if let's say you have two flights, one coming from China, one coming from Ethiopia, and it arrives at the same time, you get passengers coming through the arrival hall, then you'll not be able to separate those who are coming from China or Ethiopia. So then they all have to go through the health screening. Because assuming somebody carries the virus, and just by sitting together at the arrival hall, there could be transmission. So then you do not determine who are those coming from China, but then you take all of them through the screening. There could be transfer of the virus. So we treat them all alike.
But the screening will not notice an immediate transfer. If somebody came from Ethiopia and walked past somebody from China and the China passenger coughed on him and he got the virus, your screening will not identify that because there's an incubation period.
Exactly so.
So why are you combining passengers from all parts of the world? Should you not be separating passengers from identified parts of the world so that they can come in separately and be screened separately?
That's why they have the two levels of check. One, the filling of the forms, then two, on arrival.
But by then you've combined the passengers anyway, haven't you?
Again?
But by then you would have combined the passengers anyway.
No, not combining them. I was giving a hypothetical case that if it should happen, there are two flights from different locations, but one from a location where this epidemic is, and assuming they should all arrive together, they will have to go through the normal health screening check for a flight that specifically came from China and then has arrived alone, just to be sure that we do not miss any passenger who might be carrying the virus.
I'm confused. So your scenario was 2 flights, one from China, one from Ethiopia. They arrive at the same time. The passengers, will they be combined or not? That's the simple.
Okay. I'm not getting. No, they will not be combined. You raised an earlier question.
Right.
If passengers come and they arrive at the same time at the airport, that's when I said, then what action we take is that they will have to take them through the normal checks that will give to a flight that has come from China and has arrived without any other flight at the same time. Otherwise, flights from such designated countries will have to be checked and checked well.
Right, so the passengers will not mix?
No. Right. They will not be mixed.
Okay. All right. Well, Superintendent Amwakwata will certainly be making our checks at the airport to see if the Immigration Service are also playing their part, so that we can all together keep our borders safe.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you too.
Right.
Well, I don't know how you feel about everything we've heard.
You know, we still are not clear exactly what we're doing, because we have a lot of plans. We're still thinking through, we're still meeting. The Ghana Health Service meeting at 10 a.m. I guess it will be very crucial. And even though I won't say I'm not confident, I'm hopeful, because he took in the feedback that we got from Michael Al-Hassan, who traveled and came in last night. So it's good information that Michael gave us, and it's good that we did our job by passing it on, and they have taken in. So we have to keep checking. I guess that's what,
Indeed.
Keep checking.
I agree with you on the hope. I was happy to see him take on the feedback. I want to see the action. You know, that's when I will then feel confident. You know, that it's not just words. And you know, it does scandalize me that there is nobody from the media on their task force. The most important part of disease control is information, and there's nobody from the media. I don't know how they were intending to. Anyway, perhaps.
But that's what has happened. Even in the past. So I guess they're just going with
But that means we don't learn. You know, that's even worse. It's not like this is the first time we've had to protect our nation from a potential outbreak.
I guess sometimes they also don't even get the feedback. So, you know, when you put the question to Dr. Bekwing, he kind of hesitated a bit. It's like, it hasn't even crossed our mind. You know, that's how I got his reaction. That's the interpretation that I got. So it's good information that we passed on. And we trust that you watching, if there's anything, you will also let us know. And that's why it's important that we have a media person at least on that committee. So hopefully you've been following through this conversation. Remember, if you're coughing, use tissue. And then wash your hands under running water. That's absolutely very important. Get those sanitizers, let them be with you as well. So be mindful that there is a certain virus. We haven't recorded any incident in Ghana. We haven't, the test that happened in Ivory Coast, well, we don't know what the result is yet, but we have to take the necessary precautions. That's right. The message that we're sending across.
Indeed. Yep. Human-to-human transmission is how this spreads. So the usual things: cough into your elbow rather than into your hands. Avoid handshaking whenever you can. Always wash your hands, as Mama be saying. All right. Okay. So coming up next is a conversation about our latest Hotline documentary, Driving to Kill. My colleague Kwesi Parker Wilson has put together this piece, and he talks about how unlicensed drivers and unlicensed vehicles are contributing to road carnage.